All right, welcome back to One Bills Live. Chris Brown, Steve Tasker, and pleased to be joined now by the man who is going to be this week's Legend of the Game when the Bills host the Dolphins in Sunday's playoff game. Legend of the Game is presented by the BFLO Store, the official retailer of the Buffalo Bills. It is the one and only Eric Moulds joining us. You can download and visit the Bills app and enter for a chance to win a $250 BFLO Store gift card and a signed Eric Moulds football, Saturday, January 20th, 1 to 2 p.m. at the BFLO Store, 4199 Transit Road in Williamsville. Eric will also be live at the enhanced Seneca Soundstage in the bus and limo lot on Sunday from 1 to 2 p.m.
Dude, you're going to be busy.
Yeah, it's a good thing. That's a great thing.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to check out Eric, as we said, at the BFLO Store on Saturday the 20th, 1 to 2 p.m., and then out by the bus and limo lot on the Seneca Soundstage, 1 to 2 p.m. Sunday. Don't worry, that's not while the game's going on. It doesn't kick off until 3. So a little bit later start time. Eric, how you doing? What do you make of the latest Bills playoff run? It got a little hairy last week, but they got through it.
Yeah, that's what the playoffs are made for. You know, Steve could tell you that, man. Every time you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. It's a new season. The intensity, the level of play goes up, so you got to be ready to go.
Was it hard not to, seeing it was Bills Dolphins, was it hard not to remember the 98 playoff when, well, for lack of a better term, you went off?
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of that. I recently, it's crazy. I recently, before that, talked to our old coordinator, Kevin Gilbride, on the phone, and we were talking about the game that we had in the stadium where we beat the Dolphins 33-21, I think it was that score, and the yardage that we put up. And that game came to my mind, and also the playoff game. So it was anytime the Bills play the Dolphins, I have a lot of memories.
Yeah, it's one of those rivalries that was on the back burner for a while because of the success the Patriots had. But, man, with the way Tua has played, Mike McDaniel bringing the most out of him, and Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and, of course, all the things that are going on with the Buffalo Bills, it has really heated up that rivalry as of late.
Yeah, they've got a pretty solid football team. They're scary. They can score offensively. They have two dynamic receivers. Their defense has proved tremendously. So I think they built their team to try to match our team. They went out and traded for a pass rusher, got some guys in the secondary, and got some really good coaches there. So they're really, I think, from what I see, is they're building their team to compete with the Buffalo Bills in our division.
Speaking of dynamic receivers, we're not going to be short on them this week, Bills Bengals, so it's kind of fitting that you're in the house. But Diggs, Gabe Davis is waking up in the playoffs again, and then, they're three. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better trio of receivers than what the Bengals can line up every week with Boyd, Higgins, and Chase.
Yeah, they're very good. They're very solid. And the thing when you look at when you have three solid receivers, really good receivers, any one of them can have that type of game where it's a 150-yard game. Is one of those games that they can explode. I think our job, as our defense job is to do this week, is to try to slow them down. You're not going to stop all three, but if you can limit their big plays, you give yourself a better chance of winning.
You talk about how these games are a little bit, it's a new season, and I was just asking, kind of describe what you remember about the difference between regular season and playoff football. They usually say it's like preseason, then there's regular season, then there's regular season, then there's the playoffs. Describe the atmosphere and the differences in playoff football.
I think for me, it's the intensity and the anxiety because if you lose, you're one and done. So every second, every minute, every play counts. You want to limit your mistakes, and you don't want to be the team that turns the ball over as much as the team you're playing. I can tell you back then when we played Miami in that playoff game, we had Miami beat from talking to a lot of their players like Zach Thomas that played, a lot of their really good players. And we turned the ball over 5 times that game. So obviously the numbers were against us to win that football game. And I think that no matter what team is playing, whether it's the Buffalo Bills this week or the Cincinnati Bengals this week, whoever turns the ball over the most usually loses that game. So if we limit our turnovers, I think we give ourselves an excellent chance to win this game. So that's what I recall from the playoffs a lot of.
You obviously played with a quarterback who could chuck it around the yard in Drew Bledsoe. the Bills have a guy that can really throw it in Josh. And it was interesting watching the game unfold last week, Eric, because they got Diggs involved early, and then at halftime, the Dolphins said, well, hold on a second. We're not going to let this guy beat us anymore. They completely put all of their attention on him, and then Gabe Davis goes off. Cole Beasley makes a few plays. My question to you is, how did you and Peerless Price kind of work off each other in that way back during the 0-2 season when you guys both had, I think it was over 1,100 yards each, and
Right.
more than 5. I think each had like 7 and 9 touchdowns, something like that. How did you guys work the defenses, and kind of take advantage when you saw coverage shift?
Well, anytime you got two solid guys like Gabe and you got Diggs, you got to have a Batman and Robin, and everybody has to know their role. But the role of that number 2 receiver is to say, hey, if they take our main guy away, you have to make plays. No matter who it is, if it's Beasley, if it's Shakur, if it's Knox, those guys have to take pressure off of Diggs, because at the end of the day, every team that comes in to our stadium is going to say, okay, we cannot let Diggs beat us. So those guys have to know that, and Josh knows that. So you got to be solid. You got to give your number 1 chance to make plays, because Diggs is a special talent. But at the end of the day, it's about winning. So at times it's going to be like, why are they not getting the ball to Diggs? But Diggs has to be patient. He'll get his touches, but it comes about, in my opinion, in this game, it's going to be a situation where Shakur, Knox, and our running game with Singletary and Cook, they're going to be the keys to us winning this game. Now you're going to have some plays made by Davis, and also Diggs. Diggs is going to be Diggs. But this game is going to come down to those guys making plays and taking pressure off of Josh. So if our guys, our guys that are not our Batman, but our Robin guys make plays, we should be successful in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes it's not, your stars do show up, and they're going to be there when you need them and all that, but it's the, quote, others that really put you over the top in games like this. I was going to ask you this. You got 2 quarterbacks. These are 2 guys are unbelievable quarterbacks, Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, but they're very different. Joe Burrow is an in-the-pocket guy. He's athletic enough, but he really doesn't run very much. He's slippery enough, but man, oh man, he delivers the football. And Josh is a guy, he's like a buffalo, man. He'll pound through people. He'll sling it all over the yard. As a receiver, what are the differences in playing with a guy like Josh and playing with a guy like Joe?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you guys an example. I played with Doug Flutie and Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe is similar to Joe Burrow. Stays in the pocket. He's not going to run very much. He's going to deliver the ball where it's supposed to be. Now, Josh Allen, on the other hand, is a little bit of both. He's the size of Drew Bledsoe, but has the feet of Doug Flutie.
Right.
So you have a guy that's going to make plays with his arm and also with his feet. So to give you an example of what I think about both of those quarterbacks, Joe Burrow at times will run, but he'd rather not run. He'd rather sit in the pocket and deliver the football, which makes him extremely dangerous because receivers are going to work to get open more for him. As Josh can run and throw, he's a double threat, and he's the guy that we can't afford to not play well to win football games.
All right, so a lot of people, Eric, believe this has the potential to be a shootout. First, do you see it that way? Do you think it has that potential? And do you think it could be a game where it comes down to whoever has the ball last?
Honestly, I thought about it last night. I thought maybe it could be one of those games that it's going to come down to who has the last possession. But then I thought, as I watched football over the years, and I watched the Bills growing up, I watched a lot of great teams with offensive grow up and playing in this league for a long time. It could be one of those games that one of the teams blow the other teams out. I think if we do what we're capable of doing, run the football, Josh makes the plays that he usually makes, and our defense is played solid, we'll blow this team out. I think that it's one of those games that I think could end up being a 38-21 game. I think you look at when we play really well, we don't turn the ball over.
Right.
When we let teams in games, we turn the ball over. I think Cincinnati is one of those teams that Joe Burrow is a guy that he has turned the ball over, but he's a guy that's going to make the plays that are there. We take those plays away from Cincinnati early, I think it'll be one of those games where a lot of people in the country will be surprised, like, wow, the Bills are a really legit team.
Yeah.
I like that assessment a lot, and I hope you're right, because we'll all be my blood pressure will be a lot lower this Sunday if that's the case.
Can't wait to see you, man. Great. I'm glad you're going to be here, Eric. That's going to be awesome to see you.
Thank you, guys. It's always great to see you guys, man.